T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
You are now tapped into the coolest reptile podcast in the world, episode 401. Happy Fat Snake Tuesdays. That's fat, P.H.A.T, pretty hot and tempting. I'm your boy MJ. What is good? Hope everyone's having a great week so far. This is your first time tapping in, and if you're into keeping reptiles, either admiring, keeping, breeding, all the above, this is the podcast to be a part of. So make sure, no matter where you listen to Trap Talk Reptile Podcast, you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, select all. You'll be on top of every single podcast I drop here. Remember, if you listen to me on all the major audio platforms, Buzzsprout, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Give me some feedback. Let me know what you like. Best of each guest that we bring on, and any feedback is welcome, man. Drop a comment in the comment section on YouTube too, man. Appreciate all the early birds. Appreciate all the love and support. If you listen to Trap Talk Reptile Podcast on any platform, thank you so much. Really means a lot. Means a lot because the guest is who deserve this time. They're the ones putting in the work, and I'm just bringing them on to talk to them. So, but yeah, man, Fat Snake Tuesday. It's all about the big snakes tonight. Hope you guys are ready. We're going to get down to business here in just a second. I do want to say that tonight's episode is brought to you by Freedom Breeder, #1 stainless steel rack company in the game. If you got a Freedom Breeder rack, you know where that's at, man. Professional level of keeping snakes, breeding rodents. #1 since the 90s. Thank you so much, Jesse. Appreciate you and the entire Freedom Breeder crew. Shout out to Focus Cube Habitats. What you see behind me, all PVC built, and it's Flex in Texas all day, every day. Thank you, Stephen and Ashley, for supporting the trap. Going on 3 years plus now. You guys mean a lot, and they're just awesome people to know, man. Try to get yourself to a Bill Stiegel party, and you'll meet Stephen and Ashley. You'll be one of the lucky ones. Thank you so much, Focus Cube. Really means a lot. Last but not least, if you're going to ship your reptiles, use Ship Your Reptiles, the OG in the reptile shipping industry. Thank you so much, Chad Brown. Thank you, Susie. Entire Ship Your Reptiles team. You guys do awesome work. And use what the pros use. That's Ship Your Reptiles. Listen, if you're looking for exclusive content, if you like to kind of get more behind the scenes of what I have going on, if you want to support what I have going on, best thing you can do is go down to the very first link in the description below. Very first link at the top. Click on it and join the Trap Talk Patreon family. As soon as you join the Patreon family, you get a link to the Discord. That taps you in with over 170 trappers. I love all my Patreon members so much. You guys are awesome. You guys motivate me. But seriously, man, it's all about connecting with each other and growing. Nothing but longevity all through the Trap family. And that's a fact. All right. Exclusive content. We get together every Sunday with the V Unit family. So if you want to come hang out with some real deal keepers, passionate keepers, again, longevity in the game plan with all of us, this is the place to be. Join the Trap Talk Patreon family. Don't sleep on yourself. Appreciate all the Patreon members. I love you guys. You guys are my heart. Early birds, what is good? If you're in the live chats tonight, don't be shy, man. Keep it cracking. Keep it active. If you think tonight's episode's worth of any super chats, don't be shy. Drop a super chat. If you have a topic or a question or whatever, man, throw those super chats out and I will prioritize that immediately. Thank you for all the support. You guys are awesome. Early birds. Who's ready for my man, Jordan? I'm not going to lie, man. Jordan's long overdue episode right here. And I'm excited to finally have my man on. But who's stoked for Jordan tonight? I know I am. Big Mike, 1776 Exotics. OG Trap Talk Patreon member all every day. Brooke Born in the building. What is up, Brooke? Thanks for tapping in. Appreciate you so much. Scale Fins and Feathers. The homie Josh, Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. The homie Bradley in the building. Trap Talk Patreon member. What's good, Bradley? Appreciate you so much. Miller's Menagerie in the building. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Appreciate you so much. Row 5.0 all day, every day. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Bay Area Ballers, one of the new Trap Talk Patreon members so much. And I love the name. The name is hard as fuck. Appreciate you, dog. Wiz Constrictors coming fresh off the All-Star game. This fool killed it last night, man. Thank you to anyone who showed up to my 400th episode celebration. It was a New Breed on the Block All-Star episode last night. Handpicked right here. I handpicked those guests. And guess what? Every single one of those guests killed it last night, including my man Wiz. So go catch that episode if you did not. It's fucking sick. I'm not gonna lie. Appreciate all the guests who hopped on. And again, appreciate everyone who tapped in. We had just shy of 120 people in last night. It was great. It's been a while since I've had over 100. Travis Gordon, TNS Reptiles in the building. What is up? Thanks for tapping in. Heathen Hatchery. Oh, by the way, Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Heathen Hatchery in the building. What is up, Heathen Hatchery? The homie Brian. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. North Star Exotics in the building. V Unit family all day, every day. Riley Jimison, my dog. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. And this fool's super legit when it comes to carpets. Go give him a follow. Bosa Reptiles, homie Aaron in the building. What is up? Julio Fulio, Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Serpent Eclipse, my dog Adler. When was the last time Adler's been out of Trap Talk? Jeez, buddy. I'm just kidding. He's got a lot going on. Appreciate you for being here, man. The homie Adrian Blue in the building. What's up, Adrian? Thanks for tapping in, buddy. Mark Curry, Reptiles, Trap Talk, Patreon member all day, every day. Justin Campbell in the building. Trap Talk, Patreon member all day, every day. People. Okay, let me read this. Peepless Place Reptile Rescue. Is that people? Peepless. Oh, man. Thanks for being here. Michael Duvall, thanks for being here, buddy. Appreciate you so much. Kagan Andrew. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Russell, what is up, Russell? Thanks for being here. 217 Pythons in the building. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. DNK Reptiles in the building. What is up? James Burgess in the building. What is up? Let's see who else is here. Saxon and Flexon podcast. What is good, player? Thanks for tapping in. Todd, what is up? Thanks for tapping in. First super chat of the night. That's how we get things cracking. And we're going to end things in style. And that's Big Emilio Villarino, my dog. New breeder on the block co-host. It's my dog, my right hand right there. Unless it's a chondro guess, he'd rather not sit on it. I don't know why. You should want to learn about that, big dog. Feel me? All right, guys, listen, it's game time. It's Fat Snake Tuesday time. You feel me? It's all about the fat snakes, and I don't mean fat. I mean fat. All right? Get with me. Do what you got to do to get your mind right. Do what you got to do to stay hydrated. Episode 401. We're kicking season 4 off correct. You feel me? My man Jordan, Heartland Reptile, sitting down with us tonight, making big moves in the industry. So I hope you guys are ready to hear what he has to say. I got questions, and it's going down, man. Get those likes up. Let's go. Hear it up for my boy Jordan right now. Cheers. You ready for do more in the future? Trap Talk podcasts?
Yes.
Man.
Only Trap Talk. Exclusive.
Yes.
Exclusive. Oh.
So stop calling us.
Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the crop, gotta love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with everybody, we do it. Everybody, we do it. Do it. Do it.
Episode 401. We're live. Jordan, what's up, buddy?
How are you doing, man?
Good, man. Glad you're finally on. I'm not gonna lie.
I appreciate you having me. I really do.
Yeah, you know, I fan of a lot of your stuff. Mainly, you're just a very likable guy. I mean, I've met you, and you definitely have like the warm, welcoming appearance that you have on social media. You're just a cool guy, man, and you work with stuff that I love, and you're doing big things. Stuff that takes a lot of balls a lot of passion, a lot of dedication. So a lot to talk about tonight, but for everyone out there who don't know where you're at as far as in the country and all that, why don't you break that down? Let us know where you're from and what your like your foundation is in the reptile industry.
I'm in Topeka, Kansas, about an hour west of Kansas City. I guess my foundation in reptiles is I grew up in rural Kansas and chasing, everything that moved with scales, basically. As a little kid, had, ringnecks or black snakes or whatever you caught for a week or two, and then put it back in the wild. Got into college and got a Brazilian rainbow boa, had some other stuff off and on. And then back in 2019, I got my first dwarf reticulated python. And after interacting with that species, I was lights out with them. In 2021 is when I started Heartland Reptiles officially. The original goal just being, I want to work with these, the species that I fell in love with. So I sold a pickup truck I had built and bought 6 more dwarf and super dwarf locality cross reticulated pythons. Nice. And now I'm up to 10 adults and subadults. First clutch, I have 17 left from that clutch, and and because of getting into keeping these snakes and trying to plan for bigger enclosures and how to house them properly, through picking up a lot from other people that I learned from, I started designing and manufacturing my own enclosures now, with a whole different approach, I think.
Yeah, well, and we're gonna definitely get to. I feel like that's gonna be the meat and potatoes of tonight's show. Because like I said, it's very. I mean, enclosures are definitely needed within the hobby. I don't give a fuck how simple an enclosure could be designed, and there's nothing simple as far as what you're talking about. But people need it, and that's like it's like almost like rodents. Like if you breed rodents, you're gonna do just fine, right?
Yeah.
But you're away from the regular kind of enclosures that are being built, which we'll get to in a second. I'm curious, what'd you go to college for?
I graduated with a degree in physical sciences, so physics, geology, stuff like that.
Did you go to school nearby or like
at Kansas State University? Yeah.
Nice, cool. What was college like? Pretty fun?
Yeah, probably more fun than it should have been. I did a victory lap and then a cool down to follow. So, I kind of had the Van Wilder run of 6 years for a 4-year degree, but I finally got it.
Yeah, I got hurt. I was in college for like just shy of 2 years, but I to really think the way I was approaching college and not giving a fuck, I don't know if I would have lasted. I don't know. It was pretty wild, and it was a lot going on, but honestly, it was awesome. I wish I would have finished, but that would have been something. But there
were serious points where I didn't know if I was going to make it. I know you went for baseball. I played a little bit of rugby, and I got out of wrestling. I was done cutting weight, so I didn't do as much in sports, which probably would have kept me more in line if I had. Yeah.
Now I'm curious, what made you lead to the super dwarfs and dwarfs, as far as like that being the snake to want to really kind of grow with?
When I was little, we only had 4 channels. I lived in the country. Cable didn't even come out where we lived, and so I was always watching PBS. I think it was David Attenborough had some show on, and I saw a reticulated python and just blown away, right? I mean, the pattern. There's a reason that most like faux snake skins are retic pattern. And even as a kid, though, I remember just thinking, this is potentially a 20-foot animal that's not attainable on a personal level. Right. And then I had a bunch of other stuff. I had a panther chameleon, which I loved and adored. He was just stunning. But man, he was a lot of work, and he was totally worth it. But I always go back to the snakes. I like the less frequent feeding and stuff like that. I mean, you still have to put in the time, obviously, you know that. But the retics I fell in love with once I found out you could get them in a smaller size. Now, when I got in, the size, quote, genetics were less known, more questioned, and I think they still are, and still should be looked at a lot. But a snake that's manageable, that isn't going to get mainland size. I mean, really, that was my goal. I'm not shooting for 6 foot retics or anything like that.
What's mainland size to you, Jordan? Like in your eyes, what's a mainland size?
I think a mainland, I think 16 feet, give or take, for mainland is what I think of. I know they get bigger. I've heard of some mainlands, you know, certain locality mainlands that don't get that big. But that's kind of what I think of when I think of mainland. Actually, the world record holder Medusa is at one of the Kansas City haunted houses. I think she's 25 feet or something like that, the longest in captivity, if I remember correctly, or at least she used to be.
Yeah, it's impressive how big these fucking things can get, and it's it's crazy because people don't really like a snake can get to a certain size, and the person who really doesn't know what the fuck's going on could be told that snake is X amount of feet, and they'll just say, okay, that sounds about right. But really, like, people don't know how big 16 feet actually is, and how big anything bigger than 16 feet actually is. We're talking like a whole foot as a whole. Like, let's just say, once we get to a certain size, I feel like anything over 13 feet, like and higher, any inch, anything extra matters, you know. And even though it doesn't sound like a lot, like, oh, it's only a foot long. No, that's a foot. And that means body mass and everything else comes with it. And dude, I mean, I've been around mainlands, but I never actually got to keep a mainland in this room. I was raising them up, not knowing they're mainlands. And by the time they got to a certain age, gone. I had to get rid of them, you know, because, you know, that's a 1+ person job. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the person who's with me 24/7 is my wife, and I don't want her around that shit. You know what I mean? But also too, this is why it's like kind of misleading, because people think, well, oh, so a dwarf and a super dwarf is a one-man person. No, dude, not even working with those is a one-person job. Like the thing of what could happen, you know what I mean? That's what people don't understand, is they have this idea of like a snake being a certain size and being like, oh, it's good to keep then. Like, and not that, you know, a super dwarf isn't good to keep. I'm just saying that snake could still fuck you up, you know, very easily if you don't know what you're doing, you know. Right. And also too, like the percentages, man, it can be very misleading. That's why I'm more like looking to regroup and worry about locality specific stuff that I'm really liking. And then, okay, add whatever 1 or 2 genes into that I'm obsessed with. Right. But that's it. Like, let's keep it less is more. But like, you know, like Eric Lee, I always mention this. Eric Lee is probably the most honest guy I feel like who owns Reticulated Pythons, for sure. And only because he shows everything, lets it be known. And I think the most recent thing that was like, shout out to Eric for showing the truth, was he posted an 87 or 88% super dwarf. Okay. And it was 10 plus foot. It was a female. So like that whole percentage shit, bro, I'm sorry, but it's like, it really depends on the lineage, like that, you know, and I don't give a fuck what's 50% or what's 80%. It really depends what the parents are and what the average clutch sizes of those snakes are. And I think that's what people really need to look at, is the bloodline and the history of what the snake makes, and not just pay attention to the number. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
100%. I really don't like the terminology dwarf or super dwarf, but I use it because it's easier and people.
Well, you have to. It's kind of like saying you don't like a certain name for a ball python, but it's already out. You can't do nothing about it.
But
go ahead.
But like you said, with the percentage, it can be very misleading. I mean, I have a snake that is a third of the quote percentage of Kalatoa as another one. Same year, everything. They're the same size. They come from different bloodlines. It's like most animals. I don't know why it's such an argument for some, but the snakes, small snakes make small snakes for the most part. Bigger make bigger for the most part. There's always going to be outliers, right? Like within any population of any living creature, there you can't. I find it very hard to guarantee anybody like, well, this is going to stay this size. I can tell you that the clutch that came from Mila's over 8 feet, but she's also only 4.5 years old. So I don't know how big she's going to get. She's slowing down. She's very manageable. But even when she is full grown adult, I can tell you that she's this size. She has only grown 2 inches in 2 years. Now, maybe this is, at 8-10 years old. But at that point, I can tell you what she was. That doesn't mean that she won't have a baby that's bigger than her. She also might have babies that are smaller than her. And it goes further back than just the sire and the dame. It goes into grandparents as well, I think.
Yeah, you know, I could sit here and give whoever props all day long. And the thing about Eric Lee, he has everything to speak for because he has experience. Like, he has been passionate about this game specifically for a long time. And this is like his bread and butter. And that's why I respect somebody who's doing it right by that, you know, like someone like Eric. But in my sense, oh man, what was I going to say right now? Damn it. Happens once a time, at least once an episode, Jordan.
Once an episode.
It always. Hold on. Oh man. So yeah, fucking you into baseball? I'm just kidding. Okay. But I don't know. I kind of going back to what you said about you have to use the term. Do you feel like it's important to break down localities to customers sometimes and explain what it is that theoretically makes this snake quote unquote smaller than a mainland? Because I feel like people could just be thrown super dwarf and dwarf names all day long, but do they even know the meaning behind that and why they're called that, you know?
I hope that people do that research. I think if you're going to be involved in it, even at just a surface level of research or, you know, enjoying looking at them, I think it's beneficial because of even more than size, you know, pattern and just appearance is going to be different. And it makes a lot more sense when you look at the island chain and see where the divide is, where, you know, the quote dwarf versus super dwarf. I think it's good information to have and interesting. But I like keeping locality and percentage record strictly for that. It's record. Just like we said, the percentage can be completely irrelevant or dang near irrelevant, but I want to keep records so that I have lineage and as much information as I can compile for everything that I do. Now, that being said, time will tell and show what is going to come, coloration, how they look, size, and all that. But my view is keep all the information you can and then decipher it as time progresses.
How do you feel overall about morphs? Like, just like a morph as you know what it is?
I'm heavy into morphs. I do love the pure locality. My most recent pickup was a pure Kalatoa. It's a Lab Lines F1 Kalatoa, and she's beautiful. I'm really happy. That being said, when it all started, there was no plan of going pure morphs. It was trying to utilize no locality pures. But the plan was to use localities for the way that their patterns looked, along with the potential size that it could bring to get the pattern and look that I'm trying to create with the animals I'm producing. So it was more along that line.
Now, you got your first clutch this year, or that was this year, right? Okay.
Yep.
Talk about that. How'd that go?
Man, it went wonderful. I definitely started pairing earlier than I needed to, but I also watched very closely. Mila is in an 8 foot by 2.5 by 2.5. So on the bright side, there was plenty of space for them to be able to separate, and there's visual barriers. So, you know, they weren't on top of each other if they didn't want to be. But I, like any, you know, most, I assume, first time breeders, this is the first time I ever bred anything, any animal of any type, much less reptile or retic. But I got overly excited probably 3 or 4 times thinking I saw ovulation. And actually you, MJ, I don't know if you remember, but you reached out to me and was like, hey man, I don't think that's an ovulation lump. And you were right. And sure enough, like, it followed, and I'm pretty sure I sent you a picture and you confirmed when it actually happened, and you were spot on. So
I mean, when you haven't really seen it for the first time, your mind plays tricks on you, and then you think you think it's happening, and then you go and you're like, oh shit, now it's happening. You know what I mean? And it's kind of drastic change. It's like, whoa, this is fucking nuts.
Yeah. Well, and I was overly excited, right? I was looking for what I wanted to see also.
Right. I mean, you knew it was coming though. Like, you had a good feeling.
Right. I saw all the signs. I saw plenty of locks. I saw at one point, I saw the male lose interest, and I'd put him in and he'd just go to the other side. And I saw, you know, she went off food and shed starting to line up. I just got ahead of myself, a shed, basically, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel bad. My girl's going through the motions right now, and she's like, I could tell she wants a male, and I'm just like, sorry, lady, you're going to have to just kick back and just not, bro, 42 eggs, that's a lot, and no one ever told me super door. I mean, and I know it's not common, but fuck, 42 eggs me and Eric Lee had last year. And I was like, this is kind of like 2 years in one, I think. That's why that's why I had no problem not even worrying about breeding this year, because I thought we did good, and one thing I remembered, how I lost my train of thought earlier. So one of the things I want to prove is like the holdbacks. I held back 4 snakes, right? And mind you, they're all kind of like, they all have their different sizes, but then I had one specifically tinier than all of them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's eating the same amount of meals, hasn't missed anything. Overall, I'm trying to see how I want to, no matter what happens to the proven breeder girl that I have now, which I'm trying to maybe think about what I want to do. I'm maybe considering letting her go, because she's awesome. And I think if the right person wants to breed with her, she should, because she's amazing. But right now, I'd rather just chill and raise something up. But I'm real curious to see how 4 of these 50% Calatoas grow up, and if it's an average thing, or is it just kind of like all sporadic, or you know what I mean, or whatever. But I'm not gonna. I know it's one thing that nobody should do is like feed something less to keep it smaller,
Right.
and I feel like that's a little hack that some people do in this. They'll start something off slow, like really, really, really slow and small for a long time.
Right.
And I think that's stupid. Why should you do that? You should feed it normal, right? You would think.
Oh, well, it's not only cheating because you're not allowing the animal to grow at the potential it's supposed to. You're misleading people, because if someone does get that, then they feed it properly, and all of a sudden the growth rate changes drastically. But frankly, more importantly, you're hurting the animal for, I can't imagine any other reason than monetary or ease of your own life if you're keeping them. And that I can't support that.
Yeah. Now, I'm sure you've watched this show before and you heard some sort of talk with like viruses and Nido and whatnot. Are you concerned about any of that? I know, ticks are pretty hardy. They're pretty strong, but do you have any like biosecurity measures that you're pretty like passionate about keeping around your animals and whatnot?
Yeah. I'm not terribly worried, but when my wife and I bought this house, it was like it was set up for snakes. My snake room it was a workshop, but it has a mini split unit. So all the adults and sub-adults are in there, except for Mila. She's in kind of the living room area of the basement, because she gets special treatment. She's my first girl. But
the special man.
Yeah, but the babies are in another room that originally was going to be the snake room. It grew faster than I anticipated, so that just became the baby room. The workshop became the snake room. And then there's just a bathroom down here that I use for quarantine whenever anything new does come in.
And, I don't know. I feel like there's wide range of different types of temps people could choose with retics. What do you like to choose? Like, what's your go-to as far as ambient and hot spots and whatnot?
As long as they have a reasonable hot spot, I don't worry as much about a little bit cooler, but I would say I try and hit like 82, 84 in the hot spot, probably 84. And then I use heat tape on the rear, on the exterior of my enclosure. So it's kind of a 3-dimensional gradient versus just above or below. And that allows them to fine tune their thermoregulation a little bit more, I think. But as far as cool, like my snake room at night, I'll have the window open and a fan going just for fresh air for them. And it may get, 65 in the room, but the hot spot's not dropping below 84 or so. And so I'm not worried about if one side's cooler, because they can get away from it if they want.
Yeah, retics can handle pretty crazy drops, as long as you give them that option to stay warm. They're like pretty built fucking strong. And mind you, this is like only drops at night. Like they're they need their warmth, they need their heat during the day,
I worry more about overheat than I like. Now that we're getting into cooler weather here, I'm more comfortable. I worry about if I forget to close the window during the day when it's warmer out, because then they don't have anywhere to escape. Whereas if it's cooler, they can always go to their heat. They're smart animals. They know what they need. So it's just, you got to allow them to have the option. And if it gets too hot, there's nowhere to go.
I'd say a lot of the leading to what makes a retic push its face to fucking smithereens is when it's being overheated. I mean, either that or just it simply hates its fucking setup, and it just wants to get the fuck out of there, you know. But
Right.
a lot of time is motherfucker, a probe falls or something goes wrong, and literally a snake will kill itself to get the fuck out of there.
Well, yeah, because they think they're gonna die if they don't. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's like I think these a lot like pit mixes, you know, dogs
Yeah.
that if their mind is set on something, they're gonna get it, or they're going to hurt themselves trying. And I mean that in the best possible way. Like, I know you have pits, and my best friend in the world was my girl Lexi. And I think that's part of why I fell in love with this species. They're, in my mind, they're kind of similar.
Yeah, man, I love pits. They're amazing.
Best dogs out there.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, it's kind of like, you know, it's a cliche thing because everyone says that their dog's the best, and I understand everyone's dog is the best dog for sure. I know how that is, but if you're a pit bull person, you understand pit bulls. They're just, you know,
I don't know anybody that's had pits that doesn't feel like they need more.
I mean, it's just one of those dogs where you kind of only want a pit, you know, like once you're a pit person, and it's like that with RHACS and, you know, German Shepherds. I want them all, but in a perfect world. But I just know not every dog's meant to be around other dogs. Like some dogs just demand their space, and, you know, like they're their own. They want the human, and that's it. You know what I mean? So, but I don't know. Anyways, yeah, I love dogs. They're not here long enough, unfortunately. That's what I don't like about dogs.
Yeah,
I wish they outlived us.
Yeah. No, my girl made it to almost 15. She was with me in college. The only time we weren't together was when I was in class or at work. And then she actually went to my career job with me every day. She went to work. So almost in the entire 14, almost 15 years of her life, we spent all day, every day together. And she was just best friend, you know.
I think the most rewarding thing about being a good dog keeper is, like, you, no matter how bad the day is, or no matter how bad your life is, if you're a good dog keeper, you feel like you're doing something right. Because it's like it's your best friend. You know what I mean? It's like literally like that term, the man's best friend, or women's. I mean, my wife's, she's obsessed with my dogs and her dogs as well. You know, obviously it's her dog too, but yeah, man, shout out to the dogs. Shout out to all the dog keepers, all the responsible dog keepers. Shout out to you guys. You guys are awesome, man.
That's the key.
Right, because it's kind of like, man, I hate to say this, I know I'm kind of new to fatherhood, but, you know, not everyone should be a dog owner, right? For sure, not everyone should be parents, you know. You know what I mean? Like, because, dude, being a parent's hard. Like, I get it, but I know that there's people out there who are so piece of shit that I'm like, oh my god, you should not have a kid at all, because I know that I just have a feeling you wouldn't do what it takes to be there for the kid. And mind you, like, I remember seeing stuff as kids. Like, I mean, growing up as a kid, I remember seeing, you know, my mom and dad raised me up great, but I remember seeing some faulty shit, and still to this day, you see stuff on news. Like, I go down this rabbit hole on YouTube, and I'll watch all these fucking fucked up, like, murder documentaries and shit like that, and you'll just see, like, an innocent child just, you know, get murdered or something, and it's just so fucked up. Like, it just makes you think, like, how can this happen to this, like, such a pure innocent soul, you know what I mean? And it's just anyways, it makes you just sick to your stomach, to be honest. But what are you gonna do? That's what I'm saying. Shout out to all the responsible keepers out there.
Yep.
You know? Shout out to you guys. But all right, back to industry reptile talk here. We're at a place where you've already gone to shows now.
Yeah,
right. You've vended Arlington, pulled the Houdini, and fucking popped up. And let's talk about that. Why don't we talk? This is a good story. Okay, so first and foremost, shout out to Bill Stiegel, the mayor of Condortown. He had quite the event, pre-party Arlington at his house. Jordan was there. Jordan pulls up, and I'm like, Jordan, what's up, buddy? Did you get your table all set up? And what did you tell me, Jordan? Tell us the story.
Well, I did. I got a table. I was able to vend, but I drove down from Kansas about 7.5, 8 hours without a table, without being on the wait list, nothing lined up. And I bought a trailer to haul my enclosures. That trailer, they finished the construction on it the Monday after Arlington, so I didn't get to use my trailer. I crammed everything in a U-Haul and put the 4-stack in the back of my pickup, and I drove the 7.5 hours. And and I just showed up Friday morning and started asking, do you have any space? Can I get a booth? And Bob kept saying, you know, come back in a couple hours. So I checked back every hour and 45 or so. They give me a booth, 23. I can't find it because I had like a dyslexic moment or something. And I thought he said 245. There's no 245. So I went back and he said, no, you're in 23. And that's important because I told myself like 5 times, all right, it's 23. You can't go back and ask him a third time when you're not even supposed to be here.
Right.
So I go back 23. There's like a 4-slot booth that goes up to 22, an open space, and a 4-slot booth that starts at 24. So logic prevails. This has to be 23. There's another, I can't remember, invertebrate keeper or vendor sign up, but it doesn't say 23. And I can't really read what it said, but it didn't say 23. So I figured they just didn't show up. I set up my stuff, hang out for probably an hour and a half, 2 hours or so. And I go back to the hotel room. I'm literally down to my boxers, about to hop in the shower because moving everything in, I was very sweaty. I get a voicemail from Brian, and he said, hey man, I don't know why you set up there. Somebody else's sign was there, but your stuff's in the aisle. so I ran down and checked with Brian and said, hey man, if I set up in somebody's spot or mess stuff up, I'm sorry. Sure, that's where Bob told me to go. And he said, well, go talk to Bob. Talk to Bob. And I pointed at the spot. I said, Bob, this is where you told me, right? You said 23. He goes, yeah, I did, but that's somebody else's. So he said, all right, we'll go get you a spot. So we go out. Luckily, all my stuff's on casters and easy to move. But we wheel my stuff, and they set me up in front of the loading doors. So people are still trying to set up and stuff. It's 5:15 at this point. And setup is open till 7. And then again, I think 7 a.m. to maybe 10 a.m. in the morning.
Right.
So I was like, I'm just going to push myself off to the side, get it out of the way. That way I'm not in people's way. I have to move it again. And I get it all out of the way, come back in the morning and set up. At the end of the show, I ended up finding out from people next to me a little bit more information on what happened. And I actually was in the correct spot where I was told initially, but through some other stuff. And it wasn't because of the people next to me. It wasn't because of me. It wasn't because of the folks at the show.
Somebody had you moved.
Right. And they were trying to be accommodating to somebody else that had a spot. No big deal. All things said, they let me vend, and they didn't have to. So I was happy. It ended up being a comical story and, something to laugh about now.
Yeah, good attitude to have on that, because at the end of the day, like you were just trying to just go there, shoot for the moon and get a spot. And but yeah, it's like you think, I know what that's like. You get all set up and you're like, all right, I could go enjoy myself now. And then it's like, no, you can't. All your shit's broken down and back up on on wheelers and in the hallways. But you figured it out. It
just went from like such a high of like, I got a spot, I'm set up, and I'm ready for tomorrow. Like I pulled it off. I didn't even know if I'd be unloading the trailer at all. And I like fully relaxed. I'm going to go, I'm going to take a shower. I'm just going to like woo-saw and go have a great time. See you and Adler and a bunch of people and get to meet Bill. I was so excited to go to that party that Bill had. And then it just like all the way back down, when they left the voicemail, I didn't know if I was going to be kicked out, frankly. And it would have been their right to do so, so it worked out. That's all that matters.
I'm glad, man. I'm glad. And like I said, it's quite the story. Like first show story is, that's one for the books right there. How'd it go though? Like what's your overall feeling about vending? Do you feel like it's going to be very important to what we're about to talk about, the whole enclosure game plan that you have going on? It's like, what's your overall like feeling about the shows, being there and being set up?
I really liked vending a lot. I was a project manager for the company that does the metal enclosures for almost 8 years. And so I went to trade shows that were week long and kind of did the sales thing, but managed the project oversight as well. So I was used to vending, just a different market and a different product, but ultimately very similar. So I know everything about it, and these are my designs. So that part came easily to me. I was able to answer any questions people had. I had a blast just talking to people. And I think going to shows is pivotal for what I'm trying to do, because they're not inexpensive. And it's hard to expect anybody to spend a whole lot of money on something that is unproven other than myself, which frankly, I'm the salesman, right? You know, it helps me to let people get their hands on them, see them in person, and understand the quality, the design, and truly see how things can be changed and altered to keep different species in an appropriate manner.
I mean, since we're already on the topic, you know, I want to get into the the design of your enclosures, man. And what, let's first talk about what pushed you into wanting to roll this out and make this, you know, in a sense, this dream a reality here.
Well, it started out, frankly, as I saw something Garrett Hartle was doing, and he had stacks of enclosures in an arboreal playground. And for the dwarf and super dwarf locality retics, I loved the idea of allowing an exercise space that could be unsupervised and 24 hours, and you minimize the footprint by making it available to different animals individually. I thought that was a really, really good idea. Also, combined with that, I was very frustrated with the lead times of some of the PVC enclosures. It was also during the material shortage, so it wasn't at fault of the other manufacturers, but I got frustrated with one because, you know, a couple months came into next week, and I was like, man, I can do this for myself and make it my own exactly how I want, and frankly probably allow it to be faster lead time anyways. And I wasn't sure what the cost would come out to be, but I knew that regardless, I'm going to use them. So the investment was somewhat mitigated because I'm going to use it, even if nobody else wants to.
Now, let me ask you this. I know obviously what we're looking at here is something that no one's actually done. So this is you spending money on just the cost of the materials and whatnot, right? Are we talking something that is like a lot cheaper than PVC material? Like will this actually be something less money like once it's available, or no? Like what's
I don't know that it's going to be less. I think it's going to be comparable to some, depending on, you know, there's different quality levels. In general, I like in manufacturing you have three basic pillars. You've got quality, cost, and turnaround time. And usually you have to give up one of those, right? If you want it really good and really fast, you're going to pay a little bit more. If you want low price and high quality, it's going to take longer. So one of those has to give usually. My goal with these was to produce really, really high quality and as fast as reasonable turnaround time that was faster than others. But the difference is these are, since they're made out of aluminum and powder coated, they're going to last a lifetime. I mean, MJ, your son will be able to, if you had some of these and your son got into reptiles, he would still be able to use these. And I don't have any hesitation in saying that. The company that manufactures these off of my design is one I started working summers for in 2005. And then they built these off of my design and parameters. So I work directly with the designer to help make my idea into what you're seeing right in front of you.
And we're gonna kind of roll out what you have going on, but before we do, let's look at this video that we're watching here on Instagram, which is your Instagram. Guys, go follow Heartland Reptiles, please, on Instagram. But like, this thing is, let's explain what's happening here, okay? Because I'm seeing some sort of like doors. I'm seeing something that's, it looks like it's being sat up, like it looks like an enclosure is being sat up on its side right now. So right. Let's hear it from you what the whole idea is with something like this.
So this is what I call the playground. The slots on the side actually made up to the single enclosures from the stack unit. So there are 5 stacked enclosures that are built in one cabinet, and those slide outs that you're seeing there are what allow you to open the playground up to any individual animal with ease and not having to take everything apart. So you would mount this to the stack enclosure basically as an accessory. And what it allows for is an 18-inch wide, 2.5 foot deep, and that particular unit is about 7 foot 8 inches tall. So you can open that up and only give up 1.5 foot by 2.5 feet of your floor space, but still provide a large arboreal playground. And you can rotate it in, you know, every 24 hours, put in, open it up to a different snake and still achieve the same thing with a smaller footprint taken up.
I mean, you can even let, like, even if you have a pair going on, you could let
Yep.
pair do their, like, they could go on the playground together if they want. Shit.
Yeah, it allows for passive breeding. My male is directly above one of the females I'm pairing him to. That being said, even just opening both of their enclosures and moving him in is interaction and contact. He does fine. They both do fine, but why not let it be passive and completely on their terms if you can? Now, I would still say supervise, of course, but I like the idea of letting them find each other on their own and interact more freely.
One of the things I've always, like, in my head was like, God, that'd be so dreamy if I had all my pairs set up like this, or having a male and female, or male next to a female, where all I have to do is open up a little door and say, okay, if you choose to breed, that door's open.
Yep.
But it's not like I'm taking you off the fucking, out of your room and throwing you into her, and now you're like, you feel like you're forced to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like that, and I learned that with the monitors. Like, I think, shout out to John from Sim Container gave me the idea, or advised that, if I ever wanted to breed a male and 2 females, like because my overall game plan is to have 1 male and 2 female lace monitors, but he's like, make sure you have the male in the middle and you have the female on each side. That way he determines who he wants to go to, because I guess they show signs of like, hey, I want to go to this girl, you know what I mean? So
Right.
You simply just open up the latch, go do your thing, and then he scratches on the door when he wants to get out. And I'm like, fuck, that if I could have that for everything, that'd be great. And so that's kind of what you're doing right here. Like, you're coming up with a solution, and I think that's awesome. How heavy are these things?
So if you pull up my most recent Instagram photo, I mocked up the 5-stack with the 5-stack playground. I still need to finish it out, but the 5-stack is 7 foot 8 inches tall by 4 feet wide, excuse me, and 2.5 foot deep. And that's the 5-stack playground. The 5-stack itself weighs 340 pounds, which is a lot, but it's on casters, and frankly, it moves really easy.
How much is the weight again? I'm sorry.
340.
3 for 5 stacks.
Yeah, for that 5-stack enclosure, it's 340 pounds.
And how's it come to, like, let's just say I were to order this, like, would it come individually, like where I stack them myself, or does it already come? It comes all whole like that.
The outside perimeter is 1 cabinet, so it's 1 cabinet, and then the floors that divide each floor and ceiling are actually removable, as well as the shelves. So it's completely customizable. Say you wanted to take the top 2 enclosures and make them 1 enclosure, you can pull out the floor / ceiling, and then you go from 2 18-inch tall enclosures to 1 36-inch tall enclosure, and you could leave all 3 it'd be the 2 shelves plus half the floor, and you'd have 3 shelves. You can pull out all the shelves.
I see it. I see what I would do with this. Oh my God. So the fact that you could take that middle floor out is what you're saying. It's removable.
Yep.
This is good for boreal snakes.
Oh yeah.
Holy shit.
You can open up the entire thing, and the only thing is you still have the 5 panels of glass, but you can open up the entire thing and have a 4 foot by 2.5 by 7.5 foot tall enclosure.
I mean, because I would think, a big female emerald or something that could utilize, let's just say, those 3 spaces, that would be for the female, and then the 2 top would be for the male.
Yeah. Put a playground next to it and let them interact.
And that's the biggest thing, that playground. I love that. I love the fact that you could just, like, have a door open where, hey, they want to go up and down, because they climb. I mean, they gotta climb on shit. You know what I mean? And the cool thing is, like, that's how tall is that? Like, how from top to bottom, how tall is that?
From the floor to the top of it is 7 foot. 7 foot 7 3/4. So
7 feet of climbing. That's epic. And then you could even actually put heat in that playground if you wanted to.
Oh yeah. And even if you didn't want to use the playground, you could do the same thing. Say you had 4 animals and you wanted to double up and do 2 3 enclosures and 2 2 enclosures. You can use those slide out divides for anything, including the 6 and 8 foot singles. So everything's able to be mounted together and divided or opened up as you like.
Shout out to the comment I'm reading right now, wondering if the urate will stick less worse than it does the PVC, because I fucking got rid of my pop wands today, and one of them was in a PVC 4x2, and they fucking urates are like goddamn concrete. And so I'm going through and chiseling all these urates and spraying it, but it's stained the fucking PVC. So, and it's a black PVC enclosure, and you can still see all the stained white urates. And I'm like, sitting there, so I'm curious, wouldn't that kind of just come right off on material, something like this? Like
the powder coat is a baked on finish, and so it's non-porous. I don't want to say it's as hard as glass, but it's almost as smooth as glass. So when you feel it, it feels like you're touching a pane of glass. You can use a plastic scraper and some moisture to loosen it up, and it'll scrape right off. I haven't had any issue with staining or anything like that.
Man, I can't stop thinking about having emeralds in there now. My mind's like going nuts because I like the playground. It's so cool. Like, this is the kind of shit that gives the enrichment that a lot of people are kind of like gun-ho about. But, mind you, this is stuff that could really help a snake just kind of be more happy with life. It's just, and we don't really know if a snake's sad or not, but like, why not give it something to climb?
Yeah.
Like they climb in life. That's what they do. They go up and down 7 feet. That's great. Like, that's in a sense a 7-foot enclosure because they get to go up and down that far, so. Right. Really nifty, bro. This is cool. I like this only because you're not just, in a sense, this was for the retics, but it's not just for the retics. Like, this is for any species of reptiles as far as snakes goes, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's why I did the removable shelves and floors is, I know what I keep and what I believe is most suitable for them, but I don't know other species as well as the people that keep and breed them. So my goal was, how can I create something that people can customize to suit their needs best while still providing something that's solid and robust that will work for everybody.
Now, let's be real, Jordan. Like, you were talking about one thing that was kind of grinding your gears, and what pushed you to make this style of enclosure was the turnaround time. Let's say that you tried launching this shit and you got motherfuckers who want this. Are you able to come up with a solution to fulfill orders if it got to that extent and it was cracking, or what?
Yeah. So one of my biggest benefits and potential downfalls is I don't own the equipment that manufactures these. The company that I work for, my day job, they manufacture these to my specifications. So they're at, I think like 360 employees now. It's like 827,000 square feet. So I'm a drop in the bucket for this company in manufacturing. Really the only potential hurdle is when their schedule fills out. But right now is the busiest time of year for them. They're getting into scheduling out to December at this point, but that's really as far out as it ever gets for this type of stuff. And if something were to come up, it doesn't mean that I couldn't try and improve upon that. But one of the biggest benefits is, since it is a production facility, that's all they do is make enclosures, not for this, but similar, is once it's in the production schedule, I can tell you when it'll be completed. Once I have an order, I'll tell you what it is, and it won't budge. It won't change, short of the only real supplied factors are the glass, the gasket that holds the glass in the playground. But none of that is long lead time. Even tempered glass is a 2-week lead time. So there shouldn't be any real big hurdles. When things are slow, I think, I think 30 days is hittable. I think 45 is more comfortable. But outside of that, I don't know of any of the, I'm sure some PVC companies can do it faster, but I think we're right there with any of them as far as turnaround.
I mean, if we're talking about like the durability and what lasts longer, this is kind of a whole nother game changing type thing here, because, as much as I love PVC, I'm dealing with certain PVC, not focus cube, but certain PVC enclosures that are warping in a sense, and not just, like it sucks. Once I get them replaced, those things are done. Like, I mean, I'm sure somebody else would want them, but they're no good here. You know what I mean?
I'm with you. And I have 2 PVCs. I have a 6-foot that my Sunfire snows in, and I have an 8-foot, and I like them. The guy that manufactured them has a great product. No qualms whatsoever. My qualm is with the material itself. There's nothing he could do, even if he got and I'm not saying he doesn't use it, but even if he has the highest quality PVC, it's still PVC. Heat and time they can't last forever. It's a product of the material. That being said, there's some people that are doing awesome stuff. That Focus Cubed, what was it at Bill's?
The Heretic.
Heretic. I just watched their video right before, a little bit before this, and they're doing wonderful stuff. I don't have any desire to try and compete with any of that. I think we're doing very different things, and I love what they're doing because it's pushing and it's making things better for the animals. I think that's what really matters. Mine's suited for certain types of stuff, and theirs is suited better for other, and I dig it both. I like the mentality of let's grow the pie for everybody instead of trying cutting a bigger piece, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like you got options, what your style is like, what, but what we're either style you choose to pick, you're picking something that's a lot better than your typical standard enclosures that are out there now,
Right.
Like we have people that are really thinking outside the box, no pun intended. I'm just saying, like, really like putting their minds together with this. And I keep talking like this shit isn't available to the public, and it is already. Like, you're telling me that people could go buy this right now if they want to.
Yeah, I can take an order tonight.
Whoa, that's cool. How much?
For a 4. Well, what do you want?
That one right there. That one right there. How much for that one right there?
The 5 stack right now. The 4 stack is, oh gosh, dang it, MJ. I'm on my.
What? Oh, he left, dude. What a you can't say you're launched if you don't have the prices right off the tip of your tongue. He's doing special pricing. That's what he's doing. And so now that we're out here on the live, he's like, fuck, damn, I put him on the spot. Jeez. He almost gave us Lucas's prices. Damn, come back, Jordan. We don't have to talk about prices. It's crazy. Oh, man. And you know what's funny? This is Lucas's fault because Lucas is like, MJ, it's already launched. And I'm like, it's launched? Cool. There he is. What's up, buddy?
Sorry, man. I was trying to get to my notes. I've got everything on my phone.
You're good, buddy.
So the 4 stack, I know the price is right at like $5,200.
$5,200 for a 4 stack.
For a 4 stack.
Right.
That being said, I am offering a written 5-year warranty, which I don't know of anybody else doing. It covers the fit, finish, and everything except for the glass. I just can't warranty glass for 5 years. But they do all come with tempered glass. The singles are less expensive, but it all comes down to what you want and what you're trying to keep.
So what's a 4x2 go for? 4x2x2.
I don't have 4x2x2 yet, but a 6x2.5 deep by 2 foot interior height is $3,117. But at this point, my most of my cost is in the materials or not the materials, excuse me. It's in the labor and the overhead. So if you're going to spend that much on a 6 foot, the 8 foot by 2.5 deep by 2 foot tall is only $32.99. So it's less than $200 more to get the extra 2 feet.
Damn, shout out to Lucas. Lucas actually has a 6 footer. He's saying he has a 6 foot.
Brought it down to him in Arlington.
Most durable, easiest to clean enclosure I've owned, and I've gone through 8 different company enclosures. Now, this is what we got to look at here, right? We're potentially looking at a one-time deal enclosure purchase scenario for a reptile. Because in a sense, what you're buying is something that not only comes with the warranty, but I mean, you're betting on this thing not deteriorating after a few years. It's going to fucking still hold what it needs to hold. And you should not have to replace this enclosure is what you're saying. You
shouldn't have to replace it ever. Especially for the lifespan of one animal. They're manufactured in the same method as if you go by a railroad crossing and you see the houses that hold the controlling equipment gear, they manufacture probably 80% of those for the country. These are built in the same manner. Those are expected to survive 35 plus years in the outdoor elements all across the country. So
you're telling you can put these outside if you wanted to, and they wouldn't rust?
No, well, it's aluminum, so it wouldn't rust anyways. But the powder coat on top of that it wouldn't allow it to get to it. You could keep it outside. The only thing is over, years and years, you're probably going to get some sun bleaching, but it's still going to hold together just fine.
Wow. So because here's the thing, man, it's kind of like there's people out there, obviously, like look at Lucas and people who want to go ahead and get the best for their animal, right? But obviously, you got people who like to wheel and deal, and you got people who they're cheap. You got a lot of cheap people in this fucking reptile industry, unfortunately.
Yep.
What's the game plan on trying to not maybe convince, but let people understand the value behind this enclosure? Like, what are you looking to do to kind of get the ball rolling here and get people on what you're trying to do here?
I think that's why going to shows is so big for me. Let people see the quality in person. That's why I donated part of the reason why I donated a 6-footer to the US ARC auction. I wanted somebody to be able to get one in their hands. It also made money for US ARC, and it allows somebody to get in and get some real experience with them. There's always going to be people that want to spend the least amount for whatever, no matter what. That's fine. That's their prerogative. That's not me. I'm not going to exhaust myself trying to convince people that are just bottom dollar no matter what. I think a lot of people that come back and look at my enclosures are going to be people that they've bought a PVC enclosure, maybe 2, and they're now degrading after however long. I mean, these are definitely for people that are in it for the long haul. I don't foresee a lot of people buying this as their first reptile enclosure. But I foresee it being something that, okay, I've spent so much money and each one was maybe a little bit less than what these metal ones are, but it lasted me 7 years. It lasted me 10 years. And that's still a decent amount of time. But if you can spend a few bucks more and it lasts forever and it's a one and done, that's just always been my mentality for life in general. Let's do it right and keep it.
Yeah, not too many reptile companies build or make something where it lasts you this long. They always want you to come back and spend more money with them. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the name of the game. Like, look at your typical pet shop. Let me sell you something that you're going to kill, and you'll be right back. You know what I mean?
Well, no, my goal is how can I make it better for keepers? That being said, I don't offer the warranty on the glass. If your glass breaks, reach out to me. I'm going to send you a PDF of the print that I use for the glass company here, because I'll get you glass if you want it, but it's most likely going to be faster, easier, and cheaper for you to go to your local glass shop. So if you need to, reach out. I'll send you the print. You don't have to remember anything. All you have to do is print it out, take it to them, say, make this for me, and you'll have an exact replacement. My goal is to make it easy for everybody. Little things like, the slide out doors, different ventilation replacement stuff, that kind of stuff is the accessories for customization. I'm not looking to make anything on it. That's not substantial margin. That's more, how can I help you set up your enclosure better for what you're trying to do?
I noticed they're pretty, good amount of vents available on that stack that you showed us. Are those certain vents able to be closed if you wanted to? Like, are you able to like cut off airflow certain parts of the cage if you want to keep
there's no like actual like slider or anything in place. Now, that being said, if you wanted to, the louvers are out from the inside, so you could put tape on the outside of the enclosure and the animal wouldn't be able to get to it if you wanted to close it off, and you also wouldn't see it because it's on the back. So
Adler's going to lose his mind right now if I don't ask this question. Does it come in pink?
No, and if Gio's in here, it doesn't come in black either yet. A lot of people ask about different colors. Different colors are possible down the road. At this point, I'm more trying to get these main units manufactured, and also I've already got revision changes. After speaking to people at the show, that was a big, sorry to jump around, that was a huge benefit to me, is as people came up, I'd say, if you see something that would be an issue for your species, tell me, because I want to know all of that. How can I correct it? So we've already got plans to change the manner in which the glass goes in the front, which will also allow for a removable substrate dam if people want to have that for what they keep. This is going to be a continually evolving product. the first renditions are essentially mine unless someone wanted to buy them at the shows. But everything will be continually improving.
I mean, are we talking about like once colors do become available, is that going to cost like quite a bit more than that? Like just like the white, like, are you going to, or what do you think the price difference would be?
As long as it's a reasonable, if you want like a metallic color, that's going to probably cost more. But if you're looking for black or gray or, kind of a standard RAL color, which is just a general color palette, they're going to be reasonably similar in cost, probably almost the exact same. The only hurdle we'll have is it then has to go through the design department, which they have a significant backlog consistently because luckily they're busy with work, but it takes time to create the bill of materials and change everything and log the new part number for that new color. So once a color's out, I can order it. Lead time's the exact same every time. And every color would be the exact same. It's just, if someone came to me and says, hey, I want pink like Adler, well, then we have to sit down and I'm going to have to get with design and see how long until they can even get to it. Yeah. Adler, you know what? Someday I'm going to get you a pink one, buddy. But no, it's just the design time to get it logged out is the hurdle.
Like for instance, my dad, like he loves white, like the color white. So some people would just look at that and be like, oh, it's perfect as is. But then, people love the options.
Yep.
And I'm not going to lie, man. Looking at that thing, like in pitch black or just like metallic black or something, fucking makes me want to like just throw money at you. You know what I mean?
A lot of people like black. I mean, it's the standard, I think, largely due to PVC, but I like the black color. I like the white on the inside. Like your enclosures behind you. I think white. Yeah, it looks so crisp. It's so clean. You can see dirt. You know you're on top of it. And I think it looks a little bigger. I just think it's more aesthetically pleasing. That's just my personal opinion. But I know a lot of people prefer black or, another color. So it's in the cards down the road. I just want to hone in the functionality and design and get that right before I start rolling out other color options.
Now, one of the things, like, because you got to look at the most successful people in the reptile industry, and when I say successful, I look at like who's the most relevant and who's actually making like fucking successful type money in it, right? And all these guys that I could think of really market the shit out of themselves. I feel like that's going to be super important for you first and foremost, because we're talking about something that no one else is doing. Like, I've been geeking out over enclosures for quite a while, and I've never seen anything like what you just showed me. Right. So I'm already thinking for you, like, fuck, we need to get as many people as possible to see these enclosures. And you know where I'm getting at, man. Reptile Super Show. Are we hopefully going to get you out to a West Coast show where people could see what Jordan's really packing with this Heartland reptile style of enclosure, or what's your game plan with that?
Man, I want to get to as many shows as I can. The real only hurdle is I'm in Kansas and the Reptile Super shows are like 23-hour drive away, something like that. So unfortunately at this point I do still have day job and only so much vacation.
Jordan, fuck your day job. I'm just kidding. That was the joke.
Oh, I know. No. But I there's times I wish I could just like take it without pay or whatever so I could make a show. But Allison and I have talked, and other than a certain family vacation that we all agreed upon, and we want to go with my folks and my son while they can still all enjoy each other this year. But other than that, my vacation for this year is reserved for shows. I'm going to be in Dallas in April. I already got a spot at Schaumburg.
Nice.
But the hurdle with California is it's a 23-hour drive, which means at least 2 days there and 2 days back, plus the 3 days of the show, which I'd love to do. It's not a lack of desire. It's just, can I work it out with my available time off? And from that, I'll be talking to you as far as which one, because it'll probably be a one time for the first year at least thing.
I got a plan. How about we fucking fly Eden and fucking, or not Eden, I'm sorry, Geo and Adler, and have those fucking guys drive the 2 days for you. And then you just fly over, like just be Kabelka and just fly over there. And then, save yourself time and just put those guys to work, man. They'll do it for you.
Hey, I'm open to ideas. You know, I'm not opposed to anything. I like to find I'm firm in the solution and flexible in the method.
I'm just saying, man, I'm excited to see something like this because, you know, a lot of things are coming to the reptile industry that we don't know yet. You know what I mean? And that's what makes everything so exciting to be a part of this, because you got people really putting in a lot of effort and a lot of time into what they could do to be different. Mainly this happened because you felt like, well, why should I sit around and wait? Or why should I be in a position where I kind of have the, you know, I have the resources to make this shit go down myself, but make it go down to where it's never been down like this before, ever. Like, this is a really cool, unique way to approach, but it also makes so much sense because why stick to just a standard box? Like,
Right.
Which is fine. I get it. And if you're somebody who frequently takes out your animal like I do, and you know, you let it stretch, that's fine. That's great, you know, but options, you know, like it's not going to hurt to just open up that slot and like, hey, snake, now you have 7 feet to climb if you want.
Yeah. Well,
I think that's so, it makes me feel like such a less piece of shit. It really does.
Yeah. Well, and I get all of my animals as well. But the fact of the matter is sometimes it's good for them to see something different on their own time and without supervision. You know, I like being able to rotate it, you know, give them 24 hours, 48 hours each. That's my general idea, is let them go and come as they please from it. Whereas when it's with me, I enjoy it, but they're limited to the time that I have to spend with them. Whereas now that they have the playground, they can just do it at their own leisure, as much or as little as they like.
Right. By the way, shout out to all the likes. People think there's like only 30 likes. There's like over 50. So shout out to all the likes out there. If you haven't hit the likes yet for the homie Jordan, this episode's been fire. So please get the likes up for Jordan. Man, how do you think about the whole wave of you know, the Samson thing and all this shit started floating to the top, and Reticulated not having the greatest name? And how did that make you feel, like kind of being associated in the game and having all this shit go down? Was it just kind of like, you know, you whipping out your popcorn, not, you know, partaking and just watching, or what were your true feelings about all that happening and self-policing and all that shit?
I mean, what I saw really upset me. I had heard things, you know, we all hear things, but there's so many rumors, or, you know, I heard of such and such, and I've been guilty of that too, MJ. I've done it with you, and you said, well, let's maybe pump the brakes on this, and I appreciate that. Once I saw photos of, frankly, even if you described what was on some of that stuff, it wouldn't do it justice. That was shocking, just flat out shocking. I also, there's going to be good and bad in any community, any industry, any whatever. So as far as self-policing, yeah, we need to, but I also believe we need to have a degree of respect and knowing where our brake pedal is, because there's been some people go after somebody for whatever reason, and it turns out to be no big deal or whatever. I'm hesitant to burn bridges with people just because of somebody else. I mean, the fact of the matter is if I didn't talk to anybody that somebody I knew had a problem with, I probably wouldn't talk to almost anybody in the industry, you know. Somebody's got a problem with somebody else in every area, or every corner, it seems. But I just try and focus on the positive. What are people doing good? What are they doing well? And be at least wise to what people may be doing that is unethical. And at that point, I can make my own decisions. And I'll talk to anybody straight up, but I'm not one to, you know, go out and slander somebody or say this person's terrible, especially if I don't have firsthand experience. You know, I can hear things from 100 people, and if maybe none of them have even been to that facility, unless I've seen it and firsthand, I'm hard pressed to really crucify someone. And I think it's with the best of intentions when people do that a lot of times, because we are passionate about these animals. You know, I think back to to the pits and like puppy mills. That was a huge thing. My mom was in politics, and she fought puppy mills like crazy. And they're a horrible, horrible thing, and they're terrible. Now that doesn't mean we should shut down every dog breeder either. There's some that do a great job and they love the animals and want nothing more than to create great companions for people. So I think it's very similar. I think sometimes we get too up in arms and assume people's motivations.
Yeah, I one of the biggest things that made me realize about myself during that whole Samson thing was, first and foremost, I had to do what any podcast had to do. I had to talk about it, right? But I also was getting in my feelings. Like I was like this wasn't the first time I heard about Samson, and the first time I heard about him, I got in my feelings. And here we are again, and I got in my feelings. Like meaning like I wanted to tear this fucker down, right? Yeah. And that just showed how much of a rookie I still am. And what I mean by that is like, okay, we tear Samson down. What's that gonna end really? Like, are you telling me that's the end of animal neglect because we finally got rid of this fucking piece of shit who got caught? No. Like, you got to believe that what happens in the universe comes back to you. Like, and so no matter how much you despise somebody, no matter how much you disagree with them, you wanting to tear them down or get them out, like meaning like you're going to stop everything that you're doing in your life to go after this person and continue to fucking tear him down until he's out. What is that really going to benefit? Really? Like, honestly, like you get your feelings out, talk about it, but it was becoming like beating the dead horse type of thing. And I was a part of it. Right. And mind you, I was a part of it because I was pissed off.
Yeah.
But really, bro, like in the industry of this reptile industry, this awesome industry, there has always been some sort of a form of a Samson. There's always been a fucking, but mind you too, it was more like, oh, less like people accepted it more back then. Like I guess it was more common to be a fucking piece of shit keeper. Yeah. Right. And I think that was like, okay, like the time of the fucking 90s or the 80s. But here we are, place of social media, and there are some real animal lovers out there. I'm one of them. I'm sure you are one of them too, right? So I can't stand to see neglect. It's to the point where it's like, but now longevity is in my future with this. I always want to be in here. So I got to really understand, like, okay, if there's a Samson in this fucking industry, would best believe that this Samson will get what's coming to him, and he will get that fucking natural, like, justice. You know what I mean? And shit will keep happening, like him getting caught, him people finding stuff in their house and all sorts of stuff. You know what I mean? But just like really kind of spending your time out of your day, which think about how valuable time is nowadays. Like people can't get time back, So that's why I look at it like, how much effort are you going to put in to try to tear somebody down when a lot of these people are self-destructing? Like,
oh yeah. Well, I think my dad told me something a long time ago that has always stuck with me. When you wrestle with a pig, you both get covered in crap. The only difference is the pig enjoys it. Samson, I think, loved that crap. I do. I think he enjoyed it because, unfortunately, what was the real repercussion for him? There's still people that sing his praises because they had a good experience.
Yeah.
So we all know what Samson is and what he does. Some of the people in here had spent time there trying to make it better and stuff, but we've learned Samson is Samson. Now he's one of the worst examples I could think of. When it comes to like smaller stuff, I think a lot of times if it's somebody overwhelmed, that's what I mean. Like, let's find our brake pedal. Let's reach out to that person on a personal level, right? Like, it's different, but you reached out to me completely unprompted and said, "Hey, Jordan, I saw you posted you think your female's ovulating. I don't think that's the case." Same thing. If I see somebody like, "Hey man, I noticed your enclosures are pretty dirty pretty frequently. Is film day the day before clean day?" Or, let's ask instead of like grab our torches and pitchforks. Now, when somebody is doing something as egregious as Samson was, that's a whole different level. But like I said, with a lot of good intent, I think sometimes we go after people too soon and unjustly.
Yeah, and the thing is with Samson is like a lot of other people got involved, and not because they wanted to, but because you had other people who knew somehow had a relationship in the past or whatever with Samson and were getting drugged into this shit, and it was just getting really dirty fast. Like, you know what I mean? And mind you, like I'm somebody to where like if I see any kind of like faulty shit, I'm like, dude, I'm gonna look into this a little bit. But there was nonstop things to look into, and I was like, this is getting out of hand. And I'm like, dude, I almost just want to stop. Like, I'm just because where are we getting at? What are we doing? Like we're
Yep.
like, and we're gonna make this an ongoing topic for the whole year. And I feel like that was just kind of like, man, we know we already know there's really bad parents out there. We already know there's really bad dog keepers out there. There's bad of everything.
Mm-hmm.
What can we do about it? I don't know. I mean, obviously police it when you see it, but don't make your life about fucking being a vigilante and fucking tear Mr. Like, I'm going to report things and I'm going to, you know, rally up my people. You know what I mean? Especially if you aren't like, what is your involved? Like to think about majority of the people making the big deal almost out of anything in the reptile industry aren't really doing anything. They're not like, what's your involvement? Like, what are you doing? What have you done? And if you really look into that, they're not doing shit. They're just, they're fans.
Yeah.
And fans like to talk. Fans like to be heard. They will like, just like a sports fan, anything else who have things where they could speak. That's what they want. They want to speak out. So,
well, and if someone's doing something egregious, then yeah, let's police it. Let's get after it. But by allowing these people to just eat at you, and like, it's good to be upset when things are bad, but to let it just dwell and eat at you. I mean, you're letting them, for lack of a better term, live rent free in your head, right? Why you're the only one carrying that around. Be wise to it, be cognizant of it, move ahead accordingly, but don't dwell on things. Once you know something, keep it in record, keep it in your mind, and move forward accordingly.
And this whole reptile industry, because how popular things are getting and how many social media influencers are out there, this whole industry is based off little cliques. There's little communities all within this huge community. And what do we do in the Trap family? We all look after each other. Like, if somebody new came into the Trap family and posted a fucking Samson ad, what are we going to do? We're going to jump all over and be like, yo, here's the thing. You got time? Because we have some episodes to show you. And,
right.
and that's it. We look after each other. And that's the name of the game right now, is everyone's speaking up for their people they're looking after. And that's just what we need to ride on. We need to rely on that. Like, you know, listen, whatever's happening ain't going to happen to our people, because we're going to look after them. And that's kind of the way I look at it. And yeah, you know, it just, the Retics don't deserve that shit. As far as like, not only like to be kept like that, but just the name, you know, these poor things, like they're the most majestic things that we could have in the reptile industry. And you know what I mean? And you know, I know Eric, you know, shout out to Eric, but Eric tries really hard to like keep the Retic name as clean as possible. And it was just getting so dirty when I had him involved. Like, it just, I feel bad, because that's not what he is, you know, like he's trying to make Retic have the best name possible. So we got to remember that too. We got to remember that Retics deserve like a not only a good name, but a good limelight. Like, you know, and I want to hopefully be a part of the wave of people who want to make Retics great again. You know what I mean? Because they are great. They are amazing, you know?
Well, in my opinion, they're the most majestic snake there is. They're arguably the longest. The pattern of just a wild type is unlike anything. I mean, it's beautiful. Like I said, there's a reason that a lot of faux snake skin stuff is retic pattern. You look at it and you'll see retic. It's because it's so beautiful. I mean, they're gorgeous animals, and they're intelligent. They're fascinating. They're personal. They're individual. They deserve the utmost, or you shouldn't mess with them.
And simple as that. Like, and I did like this Instagram live over the weekend about me letting go of my Pop One pythons, the Apadora pythons, and it's like, man, you got to understand, there's people out there who have a craft working with big snakes, and they are very passionate, and it's what they want in their game plan. And I like fucking really apex predator type things, but it can't keep them all. But you have to realize, what are you willing to sacrifice, and what are you willing to even possibly lose if shit happens? You know what I mean? So either way, I respect all responsible big snake keepers out there, because for the most part, they're all setting by examples, and that's what we need. We need more great examples out there. I love the fact that we're talking about setting good examples for Retics, and you're behind this enclosure design, because, dude, that's what we need to be doing. What can we do more by the Retics versus just putting them in something where they could potentially shove their face because they're bored, they're over it, they don't like their setup, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something like a Retic needs options, bro. I'm telling you.
Well,
right.
and going back to the enclosures just real quick, you know, specifically for mine, that's why the 6 and 8 foot singles became a thing. Now they're also designed to stack. The casters come off. They have brackets to hold them as they stack in place. One other thing is, you know, we always lose our corner space, right? And if you're trying to use two walls that meet in a corner, there's no good way to utilize that space. So what I'm trying to do, because of that dead space, as well as a lot of us don't have 12 to 16 feet of wall space we can just give up entirely, right? So taking 2 6s or 2 8s or one of each, that's a whole lot of space in one long direction. So what I'm doing, and one of the main things that I'm working towards for 2024 shows is a corner cube that will fill that void and be the junction between the singles or even stacks potentially, so that you utilize that dead space as the junction. And by doing that, you'd be able to have 8.5 by 8.5 or 10.5 by 10.5 in an L shape in the corner of your room if you want. So I'm looking at trying to find manageable ways to provide the space these larger animals need that is feasible for more of us that keep in, you know, frankly, just a regular size room, you know?
Yeah. I mean, space overall, how are you dealing with space? I mean, do you feel like you got enough to get shit going if you need to, or?
Oh yeah. My
feel
snake room, the way that I drew it out and planned it, I can have 6 of the 5 stacks.
Damn, that'd be sick.
So I could have 6 5 stacks with a couple of playgrounds, or, you know, you can Tetris it if I end up doing the singles in there, the 6 or 8 foots. But in this room that I'm in is where Mila is in that 8 foot. And I think I'll probably do the singles right there and just stack them straight up, and do probably 2 or 3 tall for that. But between the snake room, that space for them, and then the baby room, I mean, I've got plenty of space to continue to expand.
Still can't get over that, like, playground. Like, I can't, like, because if it was me, oh my God, the perches that I would set in that fucking.
Oh yeah.
And I'm talking like skinny ones, thick ones, all that shit. And I'm talking from the very bottom to the very top. And I guarantee they would use all that shit. Oh,
well,
man.
I was almost hesitant to put those photos up because it is so bare, but I was just too excited. You know, I got Eve out, and there was another post before that where I let her just kind of explore and do the christening of it just because I wanted to. And I sat in my chair with the door open for probably 30 or 45 minutes, and she crawled from me into the playground and just cruised everywhere. She'd stop and sniff some grapevine, because she'd never been around grapevine to my knowledge, unless she was when she was a baby, but I'm pretty sure she wasn't. So I noticed she'd stop and smell and check that out, and then she'd move on. But I can tell you right now, I'm just going to sit in front of that playground when they're in it and open the door and let them explore and hang out and watch. And then when it's time for me to go, I can close the door, but they can keep exploring. So
a lot of fucking potential with that. Gotta say, I don't know. I'm excited for you, but also excited for anyone who gets their hands on one of those. And I'm really, really curious. Obviously, I want nothing but the best, but I'm curious on how long it's going to take for people to jump on board and figure out what it is that you're doing.
right.
But then again, you're on the coolest reptile podcast in the world, so maybe it won't take much.
Hey, this is going to be, I believe this will help a great deal, sincerely. And I do, again, I really sincerely appreciate you having me on.
Man. No, I appreciate you, man. This is great.
But that being said, you know, I don't have, quote, dead inventory sitting, right? Everything that is here, I'm using.
Made to order, right?
Yeah, so it's made to order. So the beauty of it is it doesn't, like, I'm not under the gun as far as like I have to sell by this point.
Right.
I'm viewing the shows as an investment in the future. I'm planning to be here the long haul, regardless of the enclosures. Even if nobody ever gets into them, I'm going to have them and use them, and I'm still going to do what I'm doing with my breeding projects. So I've got all the time in the world. I hope people are interested. I believe they're more than worth the value or the cost. But I don't feel a whole lot of pressure. I mean, I feel pressure, but not like I have to hit this mark or it all falls through. There's no point that it falls out, the bottom falls out.
You got a name for these enclosures yet? Like the style, like what you want to, like what's the name of them?
At this point, I'm just calling like the stack units, the 4 stack or the 5 stack, and then a 4 stack playground, 5 stack playground. And then I was kind of just for myself calling the singles studios, kind of like apartments and housing. I can't stand the word cage, and I'll catch myself saying it every now and then, and it's more just like speak into positivity kind of mentality. Lucas, he was giving me grief. He was like, well, it's a cage, it's a box. I said, well, Lucas, do you call your home your cage? And of course he was like, yes, I do, just because he wanted to upset me. But I think it's important for us to view what our animals live in as their home, because for me, at least, it helps to want to make it better for them. A cage is something you're detained in. A home is something you enjoy and relax in.
Lucas is for sure one of the smartest people I've ever spoken to, but he'd be saying shit out of his ass sometimes. It's like, what the fuck was that, Lucas? And mind you, it's funny. A lot of it's funny, but he's just something else.
Well, he's a psychologist, right? So he knows how to push buttons, I think, better than most. And even if he, maybe doesn't act like he's doing it. And I say that with all the love in the world, because I love Lucas and he's great. And he makes me laugh because sometimes I get a little too serious or wound up, and he helps me find some humor back in life.
Lucas is he'll make any situation funny because he's brightens up the mood, and Lucas isn't like, he'll get serious, but for the most part he's just all about having a good time. That's what's up. Listen, you got to surround yourself around people like that. It's all about the people you surround yourself with, what help you get through almost anything that you're involved with. But really, like, I don't know, man. It's cool to grow with people. You know what I mean? And it's not hard to find those kind of people in the industry. They're around, and it seems like you found them. Obviously, you're in a good place. And I appreciate you being a part of the Trap Talk Patreon family, like you sharing your journey and everything, what's going on with all of us. We're all big supporters of yours. So we're stoked, man. I'm excited to bring you back on the show. I might have a game plan for you as far as how to get people on board with this who don't know.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is, if I have a Fat Snake Tuesday guest on and I ask them, what do you keep your big snake in? And if it's not a Heartland stack, I'm going to say, you're a fucking piece of shit. You're lazy, and you do not want to give your snake activities to do. I'm just kidding.
I mean, why not give him the Bentley, right?
Don't be cheap.
Yeah.
No, listen, this has been a great podcast. Hour and a half went by quick. I do have some hot seat questions for you if you're cool with that.
Yeah,
of
course.
I'll let you enjoy your night. Guys, thank you for all the likes. But if you haven't yet, likes up for Jordan. Hot seat questions. It's that time. Coming in hot. Jordan, you know how these are done. Quicker the better, please. If you really have to explain something, that's fine. Just don't Nick Mutton this, okay? Because
I'll do my best, man. I'll do my best.
Fuck.
I laughed so hard because it was, like you said, the longest hot seat answer I think I've ever seen. But it was so good.
And it literally dawned on me, like, you would think, like, the way this guy was just killing it all night, you would think me leading into the hot seat questions, I'm like, dude, this shit's going to probably take a while. And it did not sink in until after the first one. And after I asked the first one, I'm like, fuck. Like, dude, there's like 19 more, and he's barely like on the second one. And he wouldn't let it go. You know what I mean? But anyways, all right. Hot seat questions. Jordan, Heartland Reptiles. You ready, buddy?
Yes, sir.
Here we go. Coming in hot. Egg cut or no cut?
Egg cut after pip.
Egg cut or no cut, Jordan? It's a yes or no. Okay.
Yes.
So after the pip?
After the first pip.
Frozen thawed or live?
Frozen thawed.
First thing you like to feed a baby reticulated python that you produced?
Probably a rat pup, or excuse me, mouse fuzzy.
Mouse fuzzy. Okay. Pre-first shed meal or post-first shed meal?
Post.
Red chondro or yellow chondro?
Yellow.
Yay imports or boo imports?
Yay imports.
One reptile you would import to your collection anywhere around the world?
Oh crap! I don't. Emerald tree boa.
Nice. It's probably gonna throw up on you, but good luck. Let's see. What's one reptile nobody should import that you could think of? Leave it alone.
Marine iguanas.
Respect. How the fuck are you gonna keep that?
I think they're fascinating. They're amazing looking animals, but I mean, I don't think a water park could do it right. So
for real, SeaWorld couldn't do it. You know what I mean? To spray or mist a reticulated python, or to never spray and mist a reticulated python?
Sure, spray them.
Yay sports or boo sports?
Yay sports.
Favorite sports?
Playing wrestling or rugby, watching football.
Favorite football team?
College is Kansas State University. Pro is going to be the Chiefs and the Dolphins.
You should have just said the Dolphins.
I have been cheering for the Dolphins since I watched Dan Marino with my dad, and it has not been an easy team to cheer for that long.
Well, I'm a Raider fan. You think it's easy being a Raider fan? No, it's not.
Hey, same cloth, man.
Yeah, but you're Chiefs. Chiefs have destroyed my fucking being a Raider fan for me a lot. You know what I mean? They
in the last couple of years, but man, it was rough for Chiefs fans for a long time.
Yeah, that was a rivalry though. Other than the Chargers, which I despise the Chargers, it was the Chiefs. It was my three most despised teams growing up: Chargers, Chiefs, Broncos. Those are the three.
I'm with you on Broncos.
Yeah.
I'm with you on Broncos.
All right, moving forward. Steak or fish?
Steak.
Favorite cut of steak?
Ribeye.
How about this? Favorite side with the steak? What's your favorite side? Like, what's a?
Oh, I make a pretty mean smoked mac and cheese.
Bro, you said mac and cheese. That's my fucking. That's.
Smoked though. You got to. If I can get you to Kansas, MJ, I'm making you smoked mac and cheese that you will eat till you pass out.
Bro, I have quite the schedule clear next year's traveling. I will travel to your fucking place just to eat this mac and cheese. I'm not joking.
I've got a guest room for you. It's always open.
Woohoo! Oh man. All right. Van Halen or Sammy Hagar?
Boston. If I have to pick one, Van Halen.
Boston's sick though, don't we? That's on my playlist as well.
That's what I grew up. Dad and I always rocked Boston.
Right. I love that. Okay, little word association. First thing to come to mind. Reptile cage.
Reptile enclosure.
Milk.
Cereal.
Cocoa.
A pain.
Super dwarf.
Non-descriptive.
First time super dwarf breeder.
Slow down. Research.
Go back. Run the other way.
No. Get in, but slowly. Do your research.
FedEx shipping.
Ship your reptiles.
Reptile shows.
A blast.
Instagram trolls.
Not big enough to have them, but I ignore them when I will.
If it came down to you identifying the biggest fucking pet peeve or cringe typical thing about a standard cage enclosure that's provided to the reptile industry, what would that be?
Subpar quality. I don't care what it's made out of or who's doing it. Do it. You know, if you're creating stuff that's just, I want to hit the bottom price point. Don't do that. We don't need junk.
I like that. Subpar quality. Why would you want that? Above par all the time.
For sure.
Just like this podcast. God damn.
And hey, do it right or don't do it.
Right. Seriously. Do it with a purpose. You know what I mean? Do it where it fires you up. That's how you should do anything in life, you know? And if it doesn't fire you up, find something else to do. But
snakes and enclosures both. I do it for me.
Bro, us humans all have something that we're fired up about. You just got to fucking find what it is. I'm glad I found it. I'm glad you found it.
Yes, sir.
And I hope anyone out there who haven't found it, I hope you find it. But dude, great podcast tonight. We had just shy of 80 people tapped in. What do you have to say to all the love and support, everyone who wants to watch Heartland Reptiles win?
Man, I am so incredibly grateful and blessed for everybody. In the short couple of years that I've been in it and able to meet people, I have met some of the greatest people. Some of them, I'm sure, are in the chat and family. They're family at this point. They really, really are. Yeah. And I think the beauty of it is, like we were talking about, positive and negative. Find the good people. Surround yourself with good people that are trying to do positive. It doesn't even have to be in the same avenue as you. I have tons of friends in the ball python community and do other stuff. We have zero overlap, but they're good people and they help keep me on point, and I learn from them. Learn from everybody, good, bad, or otherwise. Just continue to learn and try and grow and improve what you can do for you and others around you.
Yeah, man, because it really goes a long ways. You know, and it's hard for some people, and I know this for for sure myself, like the way I was raised. Not that I was raised to be like this, but I grew up very selfish and I didn't really give two shits about caring for other people. But man, has my life changed once I switched that up, because first and foremost, the reason why I care so much about caring for other people is because we're talking about the animals here. And this is all about the animals. It's not about me. I mean, yeah, this show is, and my guests, but really everything that I do, everything that when it comes to looking after someone, it's because I know it's going to benefit the animal. And whatever, I'm glad at least it was something that got me to figure it out. Some people don't ever figure that out, and they're just piece of shits for the rest of their life. So
that's the Heartland mantra, all for the love of the animals.
This is why we're here. I mean, this is why, like, I try to go back to, like, man, during the beginning of the year, people try to cancel me. Like, why did I even get so worked up over that? Like, why? Like, I'm not a Samson. I'm not known to be fucking, like, that's not what I'm being attacked for. I'm being attacked for speaking my mind on my own show. And
well, it's easy to get defensive when your passion is being attacked. That's natural, right? Like, it's because you care so much. If someone attacks me for what I'm doing, I'm probably going to get defensive because I know what I'm doing and I know my effort and level of care for these animals.
Yeah. And that's what shows. And I think this show showed how much you care for your animals. And also, honestly, the people in the chats, you had a lot of support in the chats tonight, man. A lot of people writing for you. And for somebody who's just now making a name for himself over the last couple years or few years in the industry, for you to have this much support already is fucking awesome. It speaks volumes. So all I got to tell you, Jordan, is keep doing Heartland Reptiles, because it's a force to be reckoned with. But I need everyone out there to go follow Jordan. Go get his followers up. Are you on YouTube at all, or are you just doing Instagram? What's going on?
No, I do have YouTube. I've got just a couple of videos that Adler helped me do there's an intro to Heartland and then one on the stacks. I'm trying to do a lot of shorts, but keep the longer videos a little higher production quality. But I'm trying to kick out shorts pretty frequently. So definitely follow and you'll get little updates on the enclosures, random stuff with the snakes. It's kind of just what I'm doing at, any given day.
Awesome, man. Well, listen, thanks again for your time. Thanks for finally coming on the show. And again, thank you for being a part of the Patreon family and just kind of being a good person all around in the industry. But guys, please give it up for my man, Jordan, Heartland Reptiles. It's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you again, MJ. And again, congratulations on over 400. Another 400 to go, man.
I'll see you next time. Talk to you soon. Have a good night, Jordan. Thank you.
Night, everybody. Thanks.
Peace. All right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Fat Snake Tuesdays. Always a good time. Jordan killed it. I'm excited for this guy in his future. And if you want to kind of stay in tabs of what's happening with Jordan and his awesome new designs of enclosures, make sure you go follow him on Instagram. And go give him some love, man. Let him know how you liked tonight's episode. Drop a comment. And if this is your first time hanging out with us tonight, hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed it, okay? Especially if you're into keeping reptiles, if you just simply admire them, or if you're a breeder, this is the place to be. So if you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, select all, you'll never be slept on when it comes to me dropping episodes here. And also rate, review, and subscribe all the major audio platforms. The Nick Mutton episode is now available. So if you're somebody who favors the audio platforms, Nick Mutton episode's now out. So make sure you go catch that. And again, thank you so much. Had a good night. Thursday night. All right. I get tomorrow off. But Thursday night, back to the usual. Okay. And I thought what we should do Thursday night is because let's think about it, man. Everyone loves Dave. I mean, who doesn't love Dave Levison? But I think when me and Dave have a one-on-one and we're talking about some shit that we want to talk about, it kind of becomes of a banger of an episode, okay? So that being said, this Thursday night, it's just me and Dave. Oh, it's just me and Dave. What are we talking about? Reptile industry talk, man. We're going to have a little heart-to-heart about some things. Current events, all the above. But I highly recommend you tapping in Thursday night for episode 402 with my man, my road dog, Dave Levison. All right, let's catch up together. Let's see what this is all about. And again, thank you to all the love and support out there. Thank you to all the people who came and showed Jordan love. It's a wrap for episode 401. Catch you guys here Thursday night, and I'm out.